against top administration officials. You name a lot of names in your book. What do you think?
Well, you know, I think that's more of a political question than a legal question, really. It's a question of whether there's a political appetite for this. There are Democrats on the Hill who are calling for these kinds of hearings and trials. I don't really know. I mean,
but one reviewer wrote about your book. The evidence in there would suggest that top administration officials who were in charge of authorizing what you believe was torture, and many others believe was torture, they should avoid traveling to several Western European countries because they could be arrested for war crimes. Name names. Who was responsible for what you would consider to be violations of the Geneva Conventions and American law?
Well, I mean, in fact, the whole top of the administration, I mean, the president, the vice president, David Addington.
Who's the chief of staff for the vice president?
Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense. Doug Feith was up on the Hill today. He was the #3 at the Pentagon. There's a whole slew of people who... What the book makes clear, really, is that this wasn't the action of some kind of bad, rotten apples on the bottom of the barrel, that, as people were saying in Abu Ghraib. This is a program that was put into place by the top of our government to use the toughest possible terms possible to get information.
The CIA issued a statement on Friday when your book actually started filtering out details, among other things, saying this: the interrogation methods used to question detainees have been lawful, safe, and effective. The program has yielded valuable information that has helped the United States and other countries save lives and disrupt terrorist operations.
Right. It's very hard to tell completely because we haven't had access to all of the facts, but I can tell you the CIA has said that its program was not only safe but also very careful. They ended up renditioning, that is, kidnapping people who were completely innocent and holding them for 154 days in a dungeon in Afghanistan before they let him out. They had a pretty good idea. I tell the story in this book. They had a pretty good idea that he was innocent from the start, but they just didn't know what to do about it exactly. They had kind of a bad feeling about it, but they just held him there. There were also people, there was somebody who was interrogated to death by the CIA who died in what the coroner said was like an asphyxiation that came from being crucified. I mean, we've got some situations that have taken place in this country where the records are just coming out. I did my best to piece it together. I'm sure there were some triumphs, too. This is, you know, going to be a mixed picture, but...
Well, let me ask you, because when you say crucified, actually nailed to a cross? Is
Not nailed, but hanging from his arms in such a way that it made it impossible for him to breathe. Yeah. His name was Jamadi, yeah.
Here's a quote from The Dark Side, your new book, referring to Abu Zubaydah, one of the terror suspects picked up. Abu Zubaydah's hard time began when he was locked into the tiny coffin for hours on end, which he described as excruciatingly painful. It was too small for him to stand or stretch out, so small he said he had to double up his limbs in a fetal position, and he later started making up stuff just to avoid being interrogated along these lines.
Well, that's part of the problem, which is, the question is, did we get good intelligence out of this or not? And there's ample reason to believe that we got a mixed record. One of the top people at the CIA said to me, 90% of what we got was crap. So it's not necessarily a success story all the way around.
In describing specifically the Vice President, Dick Cheney, and his top aides, including David Addington, you write this, and these are strong words. As part of that process in which they authorized this kind of extreme interrogation techniques, as some would describe them, for the first time in history, the United States sanctioned government officials to physically and psychologically torment U.S.-held captives, making torture the official law of the land in all but name. Now, you don't use those words easily.
Well, I don't. You know, I think torture's become kind of a semantic game, basically. But take a look at the people in the administration themselves who talk about it. Richard Armitage, who served 3 combat duties in Vietnam, he said, I'm embarrassed we're even having this conversation. Waterboarding, of course, is torture. Tom Ridge, the former Homeland Security Secretary, said, of course it's torture. Mike McConnell, who is currently the head of National Intelligence for us, said if it was done to me, I'd think it was torture. It was sort of a silly game in some ways, and basically, whether it was torture or not, may not even.
But some will argue, as you know, that in the environment after 9/11, say, you know what, we just lost 3,000 Americans. You got to do what you got to do, right. And you've heard that argument.
And I understand it, and I actually am very sympathetic to it. The question is, 7 years later, do we need to keep doing the same thing? And can we take maybe a rational look and see is this what we want our country to become, or are we better than this? And it's not really just, this is not a book of opinion, it's a reported book, and it tells the stories of a lot of people, including Republican lawyers, military men, FBI guys, who basically said there's a more honorable way to win the war on terror.
You've done amazing reporting in this book. It's not just some sort of opinion piece.
No, it's not.
You've gone out there and done real reporting. Jane Mayer is the author of The Dark Side, the inside story of how the war on terror turned into a war on American ideals. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Wolf. Great to be with you.
Danger at the zoo. Who's looking out for the animals? Coming up, a visitor that was caught on tape harassing an animal. What it could mean.